Hey, well, good evening, YTPC. This is Dave coming to you from Wyoming. It's about 7:40 p.m. here in Wyoming, so a little bit late, but I went into town today and spent the afternoon with some of my friends, and we had a cigar together at the lounge. It was really nice. So, not smoking anything now. I've had a couple of bowls this morning of one of my clear favorites, Peterson's Early Morning Pipe. That's kind of right up there with Mississippi Mud. Those are my top two. Um, and then I had a couple of sticks at the cigar lounge. I had an Oliva V Series V Melanio again. That is a fantastic stick. And then my absolute favorites had come back in Olmec, Olmec, Olmec. So I had one of those. So I've done enough smoking for the day. I don't need to do any more. In fact, I come in and the first thing I do when I come in from the cigar lounge is take a shower and then throw all my clothes in the washing machine. So kind of got all that done, and I still want to talk to you today. So on the trip into town, it had cleared up a little bit, and so I was able to get a little bit of Grand Teton and the Teton Range and some of what I get to see when I drive into town. So that'll be on. I'll append those. So we'll talk, and then I'll append all those nice snowy scenes so I put you back in your happy place before you click off the video tonight. One thing that surprised me is, I don't know if I'm on a YouTube list now for what I'm talking about, but my video yesterday took 8 hours to prepare, download, and process. That's the longest the video's ever taken for me. So I don't know if YouTube was just jammed up on a Thursday night, or if I'm on a user equals Dave sort of AI now. We'll see. We'll see how long this one takes. All right, we'll come back. So, guys, we have here in the States, we have a big deal going on, and so I just want to talk a little bit about it and remove all the rhetoric and hype and try to stick to logic and facts. I want to talk about Texas tonight. I'm assuming if you're not under a rock, you've heard about Shelby Park or Eagle Pass. So Shelby Park is the name of the park, and it's inside the town of Eagle Pass, Texas. This is where we have this border dispute going on, where the state of Texas has decided they've had enough, and the feds have decided they want to keep things open and moving. Well, Shelby Park is where the lion's share of people coming into Texas illegally, that's where they cross the Rio Grande and they enter at Shelby Park. And the feds, like Customs and Border Patrol and a couple areas, had to set up processing centers in the park, and they were doing sort of catch, process, and release. And so the people coming across the Rio Grande were getting kind of captured right away, processed immediately, and sent off into Texas. And that was causing some concerns in Texas. So that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. So I try not to put too much bias into what I talk about, but I will state up front that I stand with Texas on this one. I stand with Governor Abbott. I think he's doing the right thing for not only Texas, but for the United States. And if I were the governor of Texas, I would probably be doing the very same thing that we see him doing. So I just want to state that up front so no one thinks I'm trying to shade something on you. But I'm going to try and conduct the rest of the video pretty much without bias. I don't know how successful I'll be, but I wanted you to know where I stood, and then I wanted you to know what I'm trying to attempt for the rest of this video. So I'm going to read to you a fair amount of this. The rest of this video is going to be me reading to you because I want you to get to the base factual documents and not what's being said about the documents. So if you like me reading to you, this is going to be a great video. And if you don't like me reading to you, just click off or fast forward to where you see the scene changes and you can be in your happy place, because there are some, it's probably only less than 10 minutes of video, but it's a nice video. And if you've never seen Jackson, Wyoming, or the Tetons, it's a nice set of little videos. All right, so I'm going to start reading to you in a minute. Whether you're a Trump supporter, a Biden supporter, an Obama supporter, a Biden supporter, I don't care. I literally don't care. Some of the materials I'm going to read you will sound biased, but I'm just reading you the actual documents. So, I don't know. Try to listen, right? Try to be impartial as you hear this, and then you can draw your own conclusions, right? But But what I'm about to do is read you the actual physical documents. And so just try to keep that in mind, okay? So here we go. So the first document, so there's a lot of discussion about the letter sent from Governor Abbott of Texas to the President of the United States. He actually submitted two, okay? And I've printed the actual letters. So these aren't news stories. These aren't summarizations. These are letters. And I want to read the first one. Abbott handed directly to the president on January 8th, all right? So a lot of the news sounds like this just popped up, but this started January 8th. And so I'm going to read the letter to you. It's not even a full page. Dear President Biden, your visit to our southern border with Mexico today is $20 billion too little and 2 years too late. Moreover, your visit avoids the sites where mass illegal immigration occurs and sidesteps the thousands of angry Texas property owners whose lives have been destroyed by your border policies. Even the city you visit has been sanitized of the migrant camps which had overrun downtown El Paso because your administration wants to shield you from the chaos that Texans experience on a daily basis. This chaos is the direct result of your failure to enforce the immigration laws that Congress enacted. Under President Trump, the federal government achieved historically low levels of illegal immigration. Under your watch, by contrast, America is suffering the worst illegal immigration in the history of our country. Your open border policies have emboldened the cartels who grow wealthy by trafficking deadly fentanyl in even human beings. Texans are paying an especially high price for your failure, sometimes with their very lives, as local leaders from your own party will tell you if given the chance. All of this is happening because you have violated your constitutional obligation to defend the states against invasion through faithful execution of federal laws. Halfway through your presidency, though, I can finally welcome you to the border. When you finish the photo ops in a carefully staged, managed version of El Paso, you have a job to do, and he lists 5 points. You must comply with the many statutes mandating that various categories of aliens shall be detained and end the practice of unlawfully patrolling aliens en masse. Number 2, you must stop sandbagging the implementation of the Remain in Mexico policy and Title 42 expulsions and fully enforce those measures as the federal courts have ordered you to do. Number 3, you must aggressively prosecute illegal entry between ports of entry and allow ICE to remove illegal immigrants in accordance with existing federal laws. Number 4, you must immediately resume construction of the border wall in the state of Texas using the billions of dollars Congress has appropriated for that purpose. Number 5, you must designate the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. On behalf of all Americans, I implore you, secure our border by enforcing Congress's immigration laws. And it's signed Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas. All right, guys, that's a lot of reading, and I apologize for it. But the highlighted sentence in that letter, I want to point out to you. So this is written January 8th, and he writes, I just want to reread this. All of this is happening because you have violated your constitutional obligation to defend the states against invasion through faithful execution of federal laws. He brings up the word invasion on purpose. So I just want to put a pin in that, and we're going to move on. And we're going to read the second letter. This is his second letter to the president, okay? It's written on January 24th. Again, I'm going to read the letter to you, and then we'll go back and talk about it. The federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. The executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce those laws and has even violated them. The result is that he has smashed records for illegal immigration. Despite having put on notice in a series of letters, one of which I delivered to him by hand, President Biden has ignored Texas's demand that he perform his constitutional duties. And he cites 3. Number 1, President Biden has violated his oath to faithfully execute immigration laws enacted by Congress. Instead of prosecuting immigrants For the federal crime of illegal entry, President Biden has sent his lawyers into federal courts to sue Texas for taking action to secure the border. Number 2, President Biden has instructed his agencies to ignore federal statutes that mandate the detention of illegal immigrants. The effect is to illegally allow their en masse parole into the United States. Number 3, by wasting taxpayer dollars to tear open Texas's border security infrastructure, President Biden has enticed illegal immigrants away from the 28 legal entry ports along this state's southern border, bridges where nobody drowns, and into the dangerous waters of the Rio Grande. So I'll continue with the letter now. Under President Biden's lawless border policies, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in just 3 years. That is more than the population of 33 different states in this country. This illegal refusal to protect the states has inflicted unprecedented harm on the people all across the United States. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and the other visionaries who wrote the U.S. Constitution foresaw that states should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border. That is why the framers included both Article 4, Section 4, which promises that the federal government shall protect each state against invasion, and Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. And then he cites a court case, Arizona versus United States, in 2012, where that court case upheld that. It ends with the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reserves to this state the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority, as well as state law, to secure the Texas border. And it's signed again, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas. All right, so much reading, I warned you, but I just wanted you to hear the actual letters, not people's opinions of them. So again, I highlighted it because I want to go back now and I want to read something. He says, that is why the framers included both Article 4, Section 4, which promises the federal government shall protect each state against invasion, and Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. Then he goes on and says, the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reserves to this state the right of self-defense. All right. So in the first letter we talked that he made a claim that they were now under invasion. He was making that formal. And here he's saying that he believes the U.S. Constitution has been triggered. So we're going to go on and read. We're going to dig a little deeper now. All right. So the next thing I'm going to read you is the preamble to our Declaration of Independence. Word for word, no edits. I'm just going to sit and read to you the preamble of the United States Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and that accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariable the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government, to provide new guards for their future security. So the only thing I really highlighted there was the sentence, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations. I believe Governor Abbott is declaring that that is now the case in Texas, that it's a long train of abuses. So I just want to point that out. So we're going to continue to dig a little deep. So in Governor Abbott's letter, he claims that Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution has been violated and therefore triggers another clause. So I actually went and printed the Constitution of the United States. And it's not very long, guys. This is it. All right, that's Article 4, Section 4. So I'm going to read it to you. This is the U.S. Constitution, unmodified. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. And I think the key phrase that Governor Abbott is resting upon is, shall protect each of them against invasion. So he's saying that has been triggered, or that has been really violated, therefore triggering this other clause. So let's go read the other clause. So it says, he claims Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 has been triggered. He's stating that, he's not asking, he's stating you got violated Article 4, which triggers Article 1, Section 3, Section 10, Clause 3. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3. Sorry. Again, it's not very long. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. And again, I highlighted, I think what he's triggering. I think what he's saying is, unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit delay. He is saying Texas is actually invaded at this point. And so he says this triggers it and gives him the ability to keep troops, ships of war in time of peace. So I think that's kind of the basis of him taking the actions that we've seen him take. So now we've read his first letter that puts him on warning that we're under invasion. You see the second letter where he says we've triggered through kind of lack of holding up current law. Section 4 has been violated, so therefore we take Section 1. We are under invasion, and therefore I'm taking over. I'm going to basically conduct whatever I need to do to protect the borders of Texas. So to bring us up to date through today now, the U.S. government sued Texas at the Supreme Court level, and the Supreme Court, I don't know if it's agreed to take the case, but it did review it and passed back the ruling in a 5-4 vote that Texas must allow the federal agents to remove the razor wire. And so Texas has said no to that, and so we're going to see what happens. The Supreme Court has not ruled on anything else, just that one thing that, it's sort of like a temporary stay while the case is reviewed. That's pretty standard behavior in courts where one piece might get ruled on or a stay issued while they review the case. So all that isn't too weird. the bigger situation is really weird, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that kind of gets us up to date. So the other thing is they put out a map, 25 states. I mean, I think they're all Republican, so this could get into R&D really quickly. I don't want to go there. 25 states have issued formal support to Texas, including the provision of troops through their National Guard. And 2 states today have said, we're actually shipping you our National Guard troops. Oklahoma and Florida have said, our National Guard troops have been mobilized and we are moving them to under your direction in the state of Texas. Other states have said they do the same thing, and even one governor said, I'll send you all the razor wire you need. You just tell me how much you need and when. So I believe that's all factual. I don't believe I've put any spin on any of that. At least I hope not. I wanted to present the facts of the matter to you. Okay, so I'm 59 years old, and I've never seen anything come close to this as far as what they call a constitutional crisis. I don't care what side you come down on. I do believe we have a constitutional crisis brewing, and it's quite hot in the country today. And I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if we're going to try to deploy federal troops onto domestic soil. Officially that's illegal under what they call the Posse Comitatus Act. Are we going to have federal troops and National Guard troops standing off and potentially even go into a hot war? I don't think so. I would think cooler heads will prevail. That's certainly my hopes and prayer for this country, that we can do this some other way. Constitutional crisis, we were created as a country with state supremacy, and the federal government was supposed to kind of handle interstate issues and national things. So that's part of the constitutional crisis, is who has authority here, state or the federal government. The other crisis I think that's coming is, can a state just ignore the Supreme Court? And I don't care if you're, rah-rahing Texas or hoping they get put down hard. For a state, we'd be setting legal precedents, I think. This would be the first time in the United States where a state would be allowed to ignore the finding of the Supreme Court. And if you're all rah-rah, you say, yeah, I sure hope so. We just need to understand that we're setting precedents. So, another state could say, well, I don't like that ruling in the Supreme Court, and because of what happened in Texas, we're going to ignore it and continue on. And pretty soon all 50 states will be deciding, should I listen to the Supreme Court or not? So those are the 2 big issues that we are facing here in the United States. And I know many of you don't reside here in the U.S., but I think it's important because I don't think we're going to be the only country doing this. The other big picture thing to think about is this just a giant distraction? Is this trying to get all our attention sucked into Texas, so while the other things go on around the world, we're too busy to see that? Or do we have a financial crisis or an economic crisis that we'll be ignoring because we're so focused on that? So that's awful conspiracy theory for me. I don't know if that's the case. I think this is an actual situation where Texas is saying, you're ruining our state. You're not protecting our border. We're going to. I think that's what this boils down to. But it does not change the fact that I think we have 2 crises brewing: state versus federal authority, and can a state simply choose to ignore the United States Supreme Court? That's it, guys. I'm done. I'm not going to express any opinions or give you any analysis or provide recommendations of what I'm thinking should happen, or I don't want to do any of that. I want to bring real information to you guys because you seem to like that. Every time I do this kind of thing and try to break down complex, semi-hidden, opaque situations and put it in plain English, I get 100 comments. So I wanted to do that today, and I wanted to do it in as serious a manner as I could. I don't know where it's headed. I have no idea where this is headed. I'm going to be done here, guys. I'm going to shut up, piece this together, and load it up. Please remember, as soon as I'm done talking here, we go back to Happy Land, and you get to see some pretty beautiful things. Guys, that's it. I hope you had a great Thursday. No, it's Friday. Holy smokes. I hope you had a great Friday. I hope you have a great weekend heading at you. And we will talk tomorrow. Bye, you guys. All right, guys. This is my favorite view of the Grand Teton. It is the grandest view of it, in my opinion. It's about a mile outside my property on the road out to town. And just this is about as clear as I've seen it since I've been here, and I'm only going to be here one more day, so I thought I'd at least show you this. It's about as clear as we're going to get right now. Pretty cool, though. It's a nice view. And here's another great shot, looking straight down the road, right at the Grand. I mean, what a great shot is that, huh? So when it's clear out, I get to see this every time I drive to town. That's what it looks like. Just, to me, that's just an amazing shot. All right, guys, this is a pretty famous shot. You just can't see it very well. This is Mount Moran right here, but this is called the Oxbow Bend of the Snake River. So Oxbow Bend, if you look it up, you get to see it better than I can show you, but this may be the best I'm gonna get this trip. So I just wanted to show you a couple shots out here. So Oxbow Bend, looking up at the Grand Teton Range, and then Mount Moran's right there, but she's just gonna stay shy this trip, I think. All right, guys, I'll show you another road shot as I drive into town. You can see the roads are pretty much bare and dry, but I get to look right at the Tetons as I drive in here. I wish the clouds would clear more, but it's just not going to happen today. These are just amazing shots of what I get to see every time I drive in. I think this is the best I'm going to be able to do. Here's the Grand Teton Range. They're still kind of being shy, being kind of hiding back there. But I just think this is the best I'm going to get for you this trip. So it's that close. I mean, it's really just right off the road, right off the highway. And that's about what I'm going to be able to give you this trip. All right, guys, we're dropping down into town here. And what you see up there, that ski area is called Snow King, and it drops right down into town. The bottom of the lifts are actually at the very back of town. So it's pretty advanced skiing, double black diamonds. But it's pretty cool that there's a ski area. That's not Jackson Hole ski area, that's Snow King. But it drops right down into town. It's pretty cool. All right, we're about a mile from the town edge, the actual boundary. And you can see Snow King dropping right down into town right here. It's kind of a cool shot. All right, here we are. There's the edge. We're actually entering Jackson now. All right, guys, I'll try to show you downtown here. So this place right in front of us, Wild West Designs. Most of the furniture in our house came from that place, Wild West Designs. The guy who ran it for years died last year, so it was a real loss to us. He was a good family friend. And actually, we have his picture up in our house. But he and Anne-Marie developed a great relationship, and he helped her do almost everything. She designed the furniture and all that and bought it through him. So that was kind of sad day for us, but a great 2 years with Wild West Designs. All right, so the town is really famous for these antler arches. In fact, this is Arches Park. There's 4 of them, and they're just made out of sheds, antler sheds. Pretty cool. Some more downtown for you. They started to modernize the town. The new buildings don't look much like they should, in my opinion. But a little more downtown Jackson for you.